Kaiden Guhle, a 23-year-old defenseman who was picked as the 16th overall pick in the 2020 NHL Draft for the Montreal Canadiens, and ever since he has joined, he has made a significant change for that Montreal defensive core. It may not seem like it to some, but Guhle this season has been a great physical and defensive presence, and along with that, he has also been able to provide a good amount of offense. With 6 goals and 18 points across 55 games, he is a +6 on the season. This is the best plus-minus on the defense for the Montreal Canadiens, as Jaden Struble is a +2 and Alex Carrier is a +4 ever since he has joined the Canadiens this season. Not to mention that in the last 20 games, Kaiden Guhle has been a +10, and Montreal's record with Kaiden Guhle in the lineup this season is 28-21-6, and Montreal's record without Guhle this season is 12-10-5. It might not seem that different, but Montreal without Guhle has a total of 15 losses, and are only 2 games over 500 compared to the 7 games over 500 with Guhle in the lineup. This is an improvement with Montreal that has been gradual over the last few seasons, as in the 21-22 season, Montreal was dead last in defense, while this season they are 22nd in the league. We've also seen this gradual improvement in Guhle's game. He went from being a -19 to a -8 and now a +6 in his career. But now that we've looked at the numbers, let's dive into the games and see Guhle's impact on the ice. Let's dive into arguably Guhle's biggest game of the season, when the Montreal Canadiens had played the Carolina Hurricanes and Guhle had recorded 2 goals. Now, it's 0-0, and it's Nick Suzuki rushing in with the puck, and as he enters the zone, he notices that these 2 Carolina players are converging in on him, and so Suzuki decides he's going to pass to Slavkovsky. Instead of rushing up on the play, decides to do a spin move to not only avoid this Hurricanes player right here, but to also wait for more support, as right now the Canadiens are being outnumbered by the Hurricanes players in the offensive zone. This is where Guhle comes into play. Guhle enters this play late, as you can see, comes in right here. This is perfect for the Canadiens, as it completely puts them under cover, as if you could see, all the Hurricanes have no eyes on Guhle, and because of this, look at how much space Guhle has here. He at this moment is Montreal's wild card if Slavkovsky can get this puck to him. Now, Slavkovsky could have very well have passed this puck to Lane Hutson here, as he was the closest option. However, Slavkovsky spots Guhle wide open close to the upper right circle. Guhle, as said earlier, has all the time and space to shoot, as all 5 Hurricanes were nowhere close to Guhle, and he ends up picking the right spot and scores to give the Canadiens a 1-0 lead in a crucial game to clinch the playoffs. On the next goal, we're going to stick to the same game, and we're now in the second period where the Hurricanes and the Canadiens both added 1 to the scoreboard, and it's now 2-1 Canadiens. Now, the Canadiens have the puck in the offensive zone, and it's Lane Hutson who does a good job to keep this puck in the zone and gets it over to Caulfield. Now, I want you to keep this spot of the ice in mind. If you notice, all 5 of the Montreal Canadiens are not in the offensive zone right now, but all 5 of the Hurricanes are in their zone. This is where Guhle comes in, and as Caulfield does a nice move around the defenseman, he fires a laser of a pass down to Guhle, who seems to come out of nowhere and is wide open by the blue line. How does he keep doing this? Well, it's actually pretty simple. Guhle at this point is outside of the offensive zone. This in turn makes the Carolina's players more focused on the players with the puck. As if you could see, this Carolina player is the odd one out. He should be covering this side of the ice, but since there is no one here, he decides to help out his teammate, and after a while with that space of the ice being open, Guhle decides to take his chances and enters the offensive zone. With Guhle under the radar, it isn't until Caulfield spots him on the blue line that the Carolina players even turn their attention to him. This is where Guhle fires a laser home to secure a 3-1 lead for the Montreal Canadiens in this game. It's a great set play by Guhle that makes him a complete wild card on the ice, and I wouldn't be surprised if you saw this kind of play in the playoffs, as that goal that Guhle scored would end up being the game winner, and Montreal would go on to clinch the playoffs. For the next play, let's talk about when the Montreal Canadiens had played the Flyers and Guhle had recorded an assist. This game is a 2-1 Flyers lead, and the Flyers have a power play in this game. However, while this puck landed on Guhle's stick, it's Suzuki who recognizes that there is going to be a clear, and so Guhle wires this puck down to the boards, where Suzuki goes and chases after it. It's not clear on whether this was a set play by Guhle and Suzuki. However, Suzuki got the memo that there was going to be a clear, and so he chased it. And the goalie stops the puck on the boards, and Suzuki is the only player in sight of the puck, as this Flyers player right here did not recognize realize that Suzuki was rushing in. This is the way the Montreal Canadiens are very good at being under the radar. Even with the goals earlier, Guhle has a good sense of this, and here Suzuki demonstrates well on how he can be under the radar. But back to the game. It's Suzuki with the unexpected rush on the ice, and it catches all of the Flyers off guard, and Suzuki holds the puck well enough to where he can beat all of the Flyers and score the goal. This goal was mainly Suzuki, but it's a good representation of Guhle's IQ, as Guhle was able to put out the perfect clear, as if it wasn't for Guhle shooting it all the way down the ice, who knows how this play would have ended up, as if this puck wasn't stopped by the goalie, and the Flyers might have not went for a change, and instead, they would have gone maybe for a rush up to Montreal's zone, or they would have regrouped with the puck in their possession. This next play was when the Montreal Canadiens had played the Toronto Maple Leafs, where Guhle had recorded an assist. So, the game is 0-0, and the Toronto Maple Leafs took a delayed penalty. However, notice how the Maple Leafs still have all 5 guys on the ice, so each Montreal player should be relatively covered, right? Well, wrong, because this right here is Kaiden Guhle, and once again, as we have seen with the other goals, he has the ability to go under the radar to a point where the other team doesn't even notice him in the offensive zone. Notice here how he's planted himself in the right circle, and literally no other Maple Leaf on the ice notices him here. Well, the Montreal Canadiens take note of this, and see Guhle wide open, and so Patrick Laine fires a risky pass through 3 Maple Leafs, but it ends up getting through, and it's Guhle who, instead of shooting, takes note of the 2 Maple Leafs here who are trying to smother him in the defensive zone. And so, he notices Kirby Dach in the middle of the ice with Leafs that aren't on him. And so he fires a pass to him, and guess what? He scores. You can see that Monter at the end realizes the mistake, however, he's just a little too late. I mean, well, we have seen from these fair share of goals that Kaiden Guhle has a very good offensive side to him. Even though he doesn't always provide points for the team, he's very good at the right times, and along with his really good offensive play, he has really good physical play. Guhle stands at 6'3", 202 pounds, and although he only has a little over 100 hits this season, he uses this physicality to his advantage to help his team. One example would be when the Montreal Canadiens had played the Vancouver Canucks. It's 0-0 into the game, and not even a minute in, it's Lekkerimäki with the puck, and Kaiden Guhle lays out Lekkerimäki. I mean, my goodness, what a hit. This ends up turning over the puck, and the Canadiens are the ones who end up gaining possession. And on the same possession of the Canadiens holding it for about 30 seconds, it's Cole Caulfield who is wide open, as he is completely off the Canucks radar, and Suzuki finds Caulfield, who on the same shift scores to make it 1-0 Canadiens. This goal all stemmed from Guhle's hit, since if Guhle hadn't hit Lekkerimäki here, then the Canadiens wouldn't have got possession on this play, and I believe it's a good representation of Guhle's good physicality to turn defense into offense. The Canadiens this season have a valuable player in Kaiden Guhle, and I believe he is going to do good in the Stanley Cup playoffs. However, the Canadiens do have to play the best team in the league in the Washington Capitals, or I should say second best. As of recording this video, Alex Ovechkin is the only goal in the game, but who do you think is going to win the series between the Montreal Canadiens and the Washington Capitals? Honestly, I think there will be an upset. I think the Canadiens will win the series in either 6 or 7 games, but hey, give me your thoughts down below in the comments, and I hope you all enjoyed this video. What do you guys think of Kaiden Guhle as a player? Please give me your thoughts down below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.